Hello everyone, so today I will be answering the question, what is the best way to preserve flowers? There are different ways to preserve flowers, such as hanging them, pressing them in a book, casting them in resin, and putting them in sand. Today I will be comparing two methods, casting it in resin and pressing them in a book. But today I'm going to be comparing the pressing method and the resin method. To do the flower pressing technique, you'll need flowers, a notebook, and heavy objects. Put the flowers on the notebook
and tilted your head with a curious glance. You stared and I felt dead.
And then close it. I suggest that you pick flat flowers so it is easier to dry them.
Hello, what's your name? I'd really like to know.
The second method I tried was casting it in UV resin.
I just stared and you grinned.
The materials you need are UV resin, a silicone mold, a UV lamp or torch, and dried flowers. The key to properly casting the flowers into resin is to do it by layers. First, pour in a thin layer of resin and place your flowers in it. Arrange the flowers with a toothpick.
You made me laugh, you made me blush, no one could compete.
After you're satisfied, cure the resin with a UV torch. After that, pour another thin layer of UV resin and cure it. Do that until the whole mold is filled. If you are using a UV torch instead of a UV lamp, make sure to constantly move it around or else it will create a bump once it's cured. I learned that the hard way and I made so many mistakes and wasted so much UV resin, so make sure to constantly move your light. While we're waiting for Daniella to cure the resin, let's talk about the do's and don'ts of casting flowers in resin. Number 1, do not touch the resin pendant right after you take it out of the mold. Try not to touch it too much or not your fingerprints might fog it up. Number 2, do wear gloves if you don't want your hands to get sticky from the resin. In this case, I just didn't really care and just did it all ungloved. Remember, wear gloves. Number 3, do not touch the resin right after you cure it with the UV lamp because it can get really hot. Lastly, like I said before, make sure to move the torch around or not, it'll have uneven surface. In the end, it should look like this. It took me 3 whole minutes to do it, and like I said before, do not touch it and set it aside to a dry place. Wait overnight, and in the morning, if there is any other sticky residue, then put it back in a dry place and wait for a couple of hours.
2 weeks later.
Oh my gosh, look at that. It's been 2 weeks and we have a resin keychain and dried flowers. For the dried flowers, you can just frame it and then use it as decoration. So, after 2 weeks or maybe less than 2 weeks, your flowers should all be dried, fully dried, and now you can stick them on a piece of paper, cut it up to the size of your frame, and frame it. So I'm running out of things to talk about, so let's watch myself struggle trying to put a keychain on a pendant. While we watch that, let's talk about all the mistakes and hardships I went through while trying to do this for the first time. The hardest part of this project is definitely making the resin pieces because I had absolutely no knowledge of any of the things that I'm doing, and I had to do a lot of research and there were a lot of mistakes and a lot of resin wasted. In conclusion, I think the cheapest and easiest way to preserve flowers is the book pressing method, because all you need is a book and flowers and some heavy objects. There is some pros to doing the resin method because you can make it into a keychain, a necklace, or a charm, but I feel like if you're just using it for like scrapbooking or just gifting it, I think you should do the book pressing method.